Hello, and welcome to this third event in the Experiences on TikTok virtual panel series, co-sponsored and co-hosted by Arizona State University's Lincoln Center for Applied Ethics and the Online Creators Association. I'm Liz Grumbach, the Program Manager for Digital Humanities and Research at ASU's Lincoln Center, which is an organization committed to exploring co-creative and participatory strategies for ethical technological innovation. And I'm joined today by
Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Florini. I'm an associate professor of film and media studies at Arizona State University. I'm affiliated with the Lincoln Center and with the Social Technologies Critical Data Studies.
we're so excited about this event. This event has been about a year in the making, where this virtual panel series has been an opportunity, a pleasure, and an honor to collaborate with the Online Creators Association to make events like this and our ongoing research collaborations happen.
And so this collaboration grew out of a project that Liz and I began after we, like pretty much everyone else that I know, joined TikTok in the early days of the pandemic. And we immediately became fascinated with how the algorithm works and how users and content creators were using this new platform and negotiating this ever shifting algorithm. So we got in contact with Toka and hosted TX Watson to give us a talk that's available on YouTube. You should check it out. And from there, we've been collaborating with Toka to find places where we can combine our academic research, resources, and approach with the invaluable experience and knowledge of Toka creators in productive ways. And so this panel is part of that project.
So before we start, I want to do a few housekeeping things, and I also want to start today by extending an intention. This is going to be a feminist and an anti-racist space. We are going to proceed from a place of care together and create a virtual space where all are welcome and discrimination and intolerance are not tolerated. We do also have live captioning activated today. Thank you to Megan Teal for being our captioner today. In case captions lag in Zoom, a link to the full transcript is being posted right now in the chat box. And before we get started, please note that both the chat and the Q&A function in Zoom are enabled. Please pose questions for panelists using that Q&A function in Zoom for our moderator's sake and also so that we can keep the back of house organized. But the chat is enabled, so please say hello, react to conversation, tell us what you're thinking and feeling, and let us be in community together. And now I will hand the mic over to Sarah.
Well, I was very pleased today to introduce our moderator, who will then introduce the rest of the panel and take over from here. Our moderator today is Eli James. Eli is an educator and advocate who's based out of Seattle. His content is centered on fat liberation, as well as disability justice, educational equity, and on occasion, musical theater. Eli, please take it away. We're so grateful to have you here with us.
Hi, everyone. We'll get started. I will have the panelists do a short introduction on themselves. So let's start with Trang.
Hi everyone, my name is Trang. I am a content creator and actor. All my ads are at Trang on Dong. Pretty easy, just my name. And yeah.
Rin, you can go next.
Hi everyone, my name is Rin. I'm known as Rinstar on TikTok and the real Renstar on both Instagram and Twitter. And my pronouns are she, they. I create a lot of content of quite a big variety of mostly educational / entertaining content, informing people on issues of racial justice, fat liberation, disability rights, the rights of other minority groups, just general content that is hopefully fun and uplifting for all involved.
And Lindsay.
Hi guys, I am a 29-year-old, sorry, I'm Lindsay. I'm a 29-year-old fat liberation content creator on TikTok. I've been doing it for about 2 years and yeah, that's it.
So I think the best place to start is at the beginning. So how if we can share first, what other platforms were you on before TikTok, and how did you find your way to TikTok? Lindsay, do you want to start?
Oh, sorry. So before TikTok, I really just used like social media for like personal reasons. TikTok was really the first place where I got my start as a content creator. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
It's all good. Go ahead, and anyone else can jump in.
Prior to TikTok, I was, well, I mean, I've been on Facebook, obviously, like the normal things, and I was on Tumblr actually, which I had a following there for a little while. But in terms of like regularly making content, like audio visual content, TikTok is probably the first place that I've consistently done it, other than some YouTube videos prior to that.
Yeah, I tried to make content on Vine, but I was also like 16 and stupid, so nothing was really of substance. But I've been like making random content on Twitter and Instagram and all sorts of places, and I ended up on TikTok by accident. And it's been a hell of a journey. So here I am now.
I also was on a bunch of other platforms, I think just using them like sort of sporadically. I think the reason why I gravitated to TikTok is because I think on a lot of other apps, especially like Instagram, Tumblr, you sort of have to have a niche. And on TikTok, for the most part, you can sort of like post what you want and people find what they want. So that's, after being kind of resistant to TikTok, that's sort of how I ended up there. I think it's very interesting to talk about when the first time you really felt like you were a creator on TikTok. If anyone has like a moment they can share that like I'm a creator. I'm not just like I've moved beyond being just a user. I feel like a creator now.
I think for me, it was probably when I crossed 10,000 followers. Like now I'm up to about 910,000 followers. But I think when I first hit that like 10K mark, it was like, oh, wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that like 10K was like more people that had eyes on me than I'd ever like had in my life. Like I had a couple like thousand followers on other social media platforms, but never anything like so large and so like dependent on people like looking at my face, which was weird. Um, but I think like also just like the idea that like I would start like buying things for TikTok, making TikTok videos, like just like a ring light is so like simple, but it's also like I bought this to like make videos on my phone on the internet. And I think it was at that point I was kind of like, oh, I'm like doing things. Exactly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like when I bought this, like the iPhone tripod, I was like, oh, I'm really in it. But I also think TikTok does that thing where they're like, you can go live when you hit what, like 1,000, and it's like, oh, there's like and there's like gradual like things you can do as your account grows, and so the more of those I hit, I felt like, oh, I'm doing the thing. But I there like it, not to sound like a cliche, but like there's that audio that's like, it doesn't, like 1,000 people doesn't seem like a lot, but like if 1,000 people were in the room watching what I'm doing right now, that's a lot of people. And so like realizing that the larger your audience grows, like that those are real people watching you is like sometimes who. um okay. As your account, as I mean, for me, as my account was growing, I was following people and having people follow me back that were pulling me to one side of TikTok. We've all heard about, you're on one side, you're on the other. Where did you feel like your content where do you feel like your content is being pulled, and what is it like to connect with creators on other sides of TikTok?
I feel like I'm really lucky where like I feel like I stay very much like within like fat positive spaces. And so it's not very often that I see stuff from like the, not so like supportive side. I'm really thankful for that. But it's really nice to see like other content from people who are, intersecting, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have ADHD, so I feel like everything changes every month. I am like in one section, and the next month I'm in another section. I've had like people find me in all different kind of areas of TikTok, and it's so interesting how like kind of vast TikTok can be, because I've had just like so many interactions with so many different people from different like areas of life, and like I've like encountered so many people through these spaces, and like created like been in communities in all these spaces. And I don't think that I like have a niche, because my mind is just always like steamrolling over to the next thing.
Yeah, I feel like I also have ADHD, and I feel like TikTok is the perfect platform for someone like me who does not like to be boxed into like a singular niche. Like I don't want to just make activist content. I don't want to just make fat positive content. I don't want to just make media analysis content. I like to do all of it. And TikTok is definitely a place that has lent itself to a lot of, and most people who follow me like are aware that they are going to get a real mixed bag when they click on my page. But I like that about the application.
I feel like you learn so much more because you're following someone for one thing and you end up learning about all the other things that they're interested about. And I think that's a really cool feature that, like when people say, like, I'm not supposed to be on this side of TikTok, but I end up being there anyway, right? Like, um, you end up learning a lot about communities and subject matters that you wouldn't usually be exposed to. Um, so to talk about audience interaction, when you post a video, like what hits first? Like when does that audience interaction start, and like what does that feel like?
I think that like when I post a video, first of all, I'm always anxious about like what I post and how it's going to be received, and you never know what's going to happen with like sometimes the conversations and the comments can go sideways really quickly. And so when I post things, I'm like almost like manically checking the comments for the first like 30 minutes to an hour after I post it to like make sure everything is like going smoothly. Sometimes I'll post a video and within like 5 minutes, I can look at the comments and tell that it's going in a direction I did not want. And I'm like, nope. And I private the video. I've done that so many times where I'm like, yeah, no, this is an immediate L. I'm just going to delete this.
So for me, what I've noticed is like for the first like 30 to 45-ish minutes, it'll get like, just to like my followers or whatever mostly. But then after that, it'll like get pushed out to wherever else. I feel like it's generally there. But also I make very good use of the like comment filters and just like deleting hate comments and stuff, which I'm really thankful. I don't know how I really don't get a ton of them these days, but just quickly, nope. No tolerance.
I feel like sometimes the algorithm works against you where it like puts you on the wrong side of TikTok and then you get like a ton of comments from people that don't normally engage with your stuff. And that's
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have like a similar experience in both, just like I feel like the first hour or so it's just like my followers, and then if my video like does well and like it hits like that point of like virality, there is a like tinge of fear that it ends up on like the wrong side of TikTok, because I feel like I've become very comfortable in like the niche that I've created for myself. And sometimes it goes outside of that niche and people are really fucking weird. And they just say stuff on the internet that they think they can say because they're hiding behind a screen.
Yeah. So I sort of have to explain, I stopped posting content about 6 months ago, because the harassment got to that point, and like things were happening. And before, to keep my videos off of, to keep my videos like off the wrong side of TikTok, I would literally had filter all comments on for a while, where I would manually have to click every comment to put it on so that my video didn't get pulled into the wrong, quote unquote, wrong side of TikTok, because you get 3 comments that are from the bad side, and all of a sudden your video is being pushed to like that kind of For You page, and then it's an onslaught. And also like the stitch function, I think, also does that, like pretty consistently, where it's like if you get stitched by someone who's like just a little bit outside of your, like if I get stitched by a thin creator, even if they are, even if they're supportive and if they're like supporting me, their followers probably aren't, and the people that they see probably aren't, and that's how I ended up getting pulled onto the wrong side. So what has your experience been with the reports system? Because I know that's something I have an issue with, and I just wanted to know y'all's thoughts.
It sucks. I feel like anytime I've tried to report anything in app, I feel like it's just like gone into the trash can. I feel like I don't usually get a response. Like I got hacked like a few weeks ago, and I didn't get any response from like app support. I had to like email them and like find a connect and like find all these like other avenues, which makes it so hard, especially like with something like as urgent as like that. Like it's like happening now, and when they don't have that kind of like accessibility on their app, it's just hard. And especially with like all the new rules they keep rolling out all the time about like community guidelines, it's just hard to like gauge what content will like get flagged or won't get flagged. And then I know like tons of people, including myself, will get random videos like just under review for like an hour or more for no reason, and it's just, it doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah, just the other day I had that experience. Like in general, I find that a lot of my content will get randomly reported or sounds will get randomly taken down. And I'll be, community guidelines violations, but they're never specific about what thing I supposedly violated. Sometimes they don't even let me appeal it, which is frustrating. But just the other day, I specifically had a situation where somebody who had made this video where they were like super hostile or whatever, and I was responding to it, and I had made like a researched response, and I had like a bunch of things that was under review for like 6 hours, and yet the original person's post was up, and I didn't even like, most of the profanity and stuff like that was being used by them on their video that was still up, but yet mine didn't go up for like a bunch of hours.
The under review thing is so weird that it'll sit at like it'll sit at 0 for forever, and you have no control over it. It's basically any video of my like where I'm of my body goes under review.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what do you do, you know?
The weirdest thing that I ever got a community guidelines for, I have a series on YouTube that's called Fat History, and I just put that, like just the title in my bio, and my whole thing got locked for like a week, and I was like, what did I do? Are you like, are you joking? I literally can't even have the word fat. Like literally that was literally all that was in there, like nothing else. And I was like just the word, like, are you like for real?
But they can't take down fat phobic harassment.
And yet at the same time, they can't.
But they can like take down everything with the word
actual...
fat. And Rin, what you were saying about responding to hate comments, like the comment will stay up. Like you report the comment, it stays up, but your video responding to the comment will come down.
Or they're actively attacking or harassing you, and then your response gets taken down for bullying and harassment. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you can call me a fat walrus, but if I say that your hairline is receding, I'm the one who
Yeah, the lack of clarity on community guidelines, and I feel like that's something that we've been talking about since I joined the app. Like there's just been no movement on the idea that like community guidelines are completely random and arbitrary. And that is so frustrating because I think every creator that like I've ever talked to, no matter where like has been like, that's an issue we should talk about. And like, there's just no movement on it. How I want to talk about that piece of like virality for a minute, and what like the shape that can take for fat creators, because I think it is different, and like you were saying like before, you know, that things can go like south really quickly, and where other creators might just be like, this is a great thing for me, my video is doing well, like that is double-edged for us. So
I feel like it comes down to like being fat is like one of the most socially acceptable things to like openly mock. And so you can literally, it goes all over the place because literally everyone loves to just throw out a little mean comment, and the way that it can just spiral so fast is so crazy. Like, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I especially agree with what you're saying about like how it is the socially acceptable thing to mock, because think about how ingrained like fat phobic jokes are in media that we consume growing up, and even now, you know, to this day, fat equals funny is like a tried and true joke. Like, when was the last time you saw a popular comedy where the fat person wasn't the butt of the joke? Like, that's so common because people think of fatness as just like a choice or something, or like an indicative of like moral failings or failing, you know, failure of self-control, failure of whatever. And so they feel like they are justified or vindicated in assessing that you must be a shitty person or have no self-respect if you're fat, and therefore it's acceptable to mock you.
Yeah, definitely echoing all of that. And then I think there's also like an added thing about, especially like on TikTok, there's just like a lot of like body positive like content that gets cycled around that's not really like based in anything other than like uplifting people who are conventionally attractive and thin. And there's a lot of things that are like people just kind of base their own insecurities in, like they use that to justify mean comments and things they think they're allowed to say because they suffer from eating disorders or body dysmorphia or things like that. And they think because they've been through that, they can talk about this. And I think that opens up a lot of leeway to that because of the way body positivity has been framed in media, but like especially on TikTok in the past few years. So it's just more common, especially like when people are like, oh, I have like a pudge because I have organs. And I'm like, well, some of us just look like this all the time, so I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I was told at the beginning of this panel we could speak freely, so we could, I think, talk about the what I call the skinny bitch syndrome, because that is absolutely like the plague that comes with body positive content on the internet in general, but especially TikTok. Because I find when you post when you post a video, like I am so sick of when there's like a body checking trend or like a sound, like even just today, somebody made a fat person made a sound where they were like, y'all lucky that I'm fat and crazy, because if I was skinny and whenever I could take over the world or something. And I clicked on the sound, and the first 10 videos were people as skinny as the day is long using the sound. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is why when we talk about it, and if we ever say anything about it, then it's like, oh, well, you're invalidating. What if I had body dysmorphia or whatever? Well, what if I have body dysmorphia? Why is it just skinny people that have body? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not allowed to be insecure, but then we talk about skinny people coming and taking over these sounds like, oh, I'm so fat. And they're like 120 pounds. It's like,
I truly believe that we will never be able to have a conversation, like full conversations about fat liberation on platforms that are like algorithm based, because the people who are going to get the most engagement are not the center of that at all. Like, my words will always sound better to thin people coming out of a mouth that is not mine. And it's tried and true again. Like thin people who want to stand up for us, like, good for them. But it's really frustrating to see them say the same shit that I say, and it's fine. And then I say it and it's a problem. Because like thin people are so not like, they're so literally afraid of my existence that they will never listen to the words that come out of my mouth. And yeah, that is, yeah. And I think part of that is also just the fact that fat phobia is like, there's a resource deficit when it comes to like people's education. Like, the resources are out there, people just don't know where to find them, because when you Google fat phobia, the stuff that comes up first is not good. It's pretty negative and it's pretty uneducated. So like, people, even if people have their best intentions and want to know where to look, there's just an education deficit there. Go ahead.
I think there's also just kind of like the added thing now that I hadn't seen before TikTok about like mid-size like people, which like it just like infuriates me all the time, because it's like, you're just straight size. I don't know. You can still shop in a store with no issue.
mhm.
I
And
don't.
there's also like the difference between like fat and like Hollywood fat. Like, when you're like, okay, so like if you're a size like 16 or something, like, okay, you may be plus by some people's standards, but like, you're not like the fat that people think is just like subhuman at this point. Like, you're like, oh, I'm so fat, and it's like, okay, so maybe you're 140 pounds. Like, you're still like, you may not be model thin, but that doesn't mean that you're like have the experience of an actual fat person in society. Like, it's different when you're like me over here rocking 3 chins at all times versus like people who are just like, oh, I've got I was pregnant, so I put on 20 pounds. Like, okay, that's valid, but like, that's not the same thing. It's not the same experience.
And instead of like, like fighting fat phobia and learning from us and like doing the work to end the systemic issue, they're like, I want to center me.
Mm-hmm.
Because not like fighting the systemic issue is also going to help,
When it comes to like stuff like that, where it's like performative, like, oh, it's body positivity, that's for me liking myself. I like to remind people that there's no amount of liking myself. I can like myself all day long, but when I went to the doctor for 7 years saying that I had back pain, and they would just tell me, oh, you're just fat. Turns out back pain is not caused by being fat. And I literally lost the feeling in my leg forever. It's never coming back, because I had an actual issue, and she literally just saw my size. That's all it is. And I can love myself all day long, but that won't change the actual thing. And so when people waste time, I'm like, I could care less if you like yourself I would like you to like yourself, but I want the like systemic issues where like people are dying.
Mhm.
Like people are literally dying over this stuff. Like I don't know. It's
It's
time
like a
wasting.
commodification of it. It's
Personally.
still commodification of the body positivity movement. I mean, speaking as a Black person, I see the exact same thing happen with like we deal with issues of racism. It's like you're talking about race issues, and people are like, "Oh, Sesame Street, let's all hold hands and get along and play together, and that'll solve it." Like, no, I don't care how many personal Black friends you have, or personal Asian friends, or personal whatever. Like, that doesn't change the systemic issues that are happening here. Like the fact that on that statistically I'm more likely to get killed by police isn't going to be changed by how many white ladies are nice to me. Like, that's nice. That's not what we're dealing with. You're not dismantling the actual issue here. So we're talking about like medical racism, or medical like fat phobia, and how it affects fat people. Like similar experience. I went to the gynecologist because I was having crazy periods, like would last like 30 days, and I wouldn't have one for 6 months. And all my gyno ever said was like, "Well, you're fat." I'm just like, I'm aware of that. I don't think that that's what like if I were skinny and I had that same problem, I would be diagnosed with PCOS. But because I'm fat, it's like, oh well, just lose weight, boom. And it's like, you're like, I want to be like, I could be dealing with infertility here, and you're over here just telling me that it's because people who are bigger than me have normal periods and have had babies. Like, that's not the issue.
What do you, like, I think everyone maybe has their own answer to this, but what do you think is one thing that TikTok as an app could do to make the conversations more like make it possible for us to actually have these conversations? There's like, it's a limited scope because like I said, like it's algorithm based at the end of the day, but what are some things that the platform could do that it's not doing to make this a better space for us?
I don't know. Like you said, like it literally is algorithm based. I feel like a whole lot of it literally at the end of the day comes back to literally it's a mirror of society, of the fat phobia in society. So like they can do a lot. They could try, but like also people are, but also I feel like maybe like doing something to get better at like moderating like hate comments and stuff. Like they tried to crack down on like eating disorder videos, but I feel like they really cracked down on people who are talking about eating disorder stuff to like be helpful. And I'm like, no. No. So yeah, I feel like maybe just trying harder on the like hateful comment stuff, and like actually doing something about it, like actually keeping people off of the app rather than just letting them come back on like a new,
I mean,
profile.
yeah, how is it that we can't, like I said, if we talk about fat history, or we talk about fat phobia, or we talk about eating disorders, and that gets taken down, or that gets put under review for 6 hours. Meanwhile, what was that dude, like Australian guy or whatever, who was making those videos where he was like duetting people using like a half teaspoon of butter and being like, "Ah, nah, 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 fat," like that went on for months. Like what the hell was that?
Hundreds of videos, like all the time. And that one guy, like 2 weeks ago, I mean, there's always new examples, who was just like, "I am violently fat phobic." He literally said it, and that video is still up.
That
How-
bodybuilder guy who was like,
Yeah.
"Why are you so fat?"
Exactly.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Trang.
No, it's okay. I think it also just like goes back down to like community guidelines again, and just like how vague it is sometimes. Like the list is so long, but it's also like extremely vague, and for the most part, it's like only really bots flagging videos. Like usually it's nothing like of substance when they like flag a video, and so the opportunity to like educate is sometimes like limited because TikTok is like, well, we don't want you talking about that. And it's weird because it's like consistent with how they're doing it, but also not in a way. And I think they just like need more people on their like security team, like actual like real life human beings, not like robots figuring out what's like okay to put on the app and what's not.
Yeah,
You
the
shouldn't.
flagging and appeals process needs to be so much more clear and consistent, but then also I agree, you need to have more human beings assessing these claims because I'm so tired of getting my shit taken down and then I can't appeal it, or if I appeal it, like I've literally reported people that are straight doxing people or like bragging about sexual assault or just doing crazy heinous things on the app, and I will get a response in 5 minutes that says we found no content violation. I'm like, there's no fucking way you had a real person look at that. Like,
And if your account gets taken down, you shouldn't need to have a contact at TikTok in order to get a hold of someone. You shouldn't need to like hunt someone down through like a back channel to talk to a real person. Come on. Like, I it's I mean, I think people can see the experience of being a fat creator, a marginalized creator in general on TikTok is a very frustrating experience. And I think our last like question before we head into the next piece of the panel is what what things about TikTok and what you've created on the app um, keep you coming back to TikTok despite the.
I think that like I guess it's a sense of community that kind of brings me back. I mean, sometimes it's a community I'd rather forget, but like sometimes, I don't know. I have good experiences on TikTok in terms of like I've met a lot of really cool people. I mean, look, I'm doing this right now because of TikTok. I've met Cecilia and TX. Like, I've made friends. I've made really cool mutuals and had good experiences that I enjoy the connectivity of it. I've also feel like I've expanded my horizons a ton by being able to follow a wide variety of marginalized creators. Like I didn't know anything about the experiences of like Native American creators or like, like the different cultural things that happen on it. You can be exposed to so many like niche communities that you otherwise might not have the chance to interact with. And I think TikTok has been the best for me at like exposing me because this is something that I've talked about a lot on my page. I've brought it up before. Like I used to be very like conservative, like part of it was for like religious upbringing, but also just like politically or whatever, but it was mostly out of like just not understanding the nuance of a lot of these issues. And it wasn't, I mean, I was gradually doing it a little bit more before TikTok, but then especially TikTok was a huge jumpstart in my understanding of like gender identity and like fat experience, what fat phobia in systemic looks like, and like it's more than just like not wanting to be fat or not liking fat, but like there's so much more going on there. There's so many layers. Racism, the in and outs of that. Obviously, I've had some experience with that without TikTok, but like seeing all of the subtle and like really insidious ways that it's in so much of everything, I think is like really broadened my perspective. And so I'm grateful for that, even though the platform itself has been, at times a frustrating experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think I keep coming back because like in a way TikTok has like completely changed like the trajectory of like my life. I started doing TikTok like right before I transferred to UC Berkeley, and I have a degree in political science, but I'm not like really pursuing a career in politics anymore because of TikTok, in a way that like TikTok has given me like this sense of community and sense of like I could actually like have a career in entertainment, and it's not like wildly like impossible. And it has like especially like helped like my parents kind of grasp that like I am capable of like being interesting to people, and people enjoy seeing someone who is who looks like me and who like has their like identity, like being queer, being fat, being Asian. It's just like there's not like a whole lot of like representation for people that look like me, and if I have to create that for myself online, and if people respond to it well, it just makes me feel good, and it makes me think that like I am like capable of doing everything like I dream and plan to do with my life.
Sorry, y'all. So I feel like what keeps me coming back is like, so I've been working on like personally unlearning like my internalized fat phobia for like as long as I can remember. And so for as long as I can remember, it's been just something that like I care about for me. And like I haven't really had a lot of like connection with that and like in my personal life of people who also care about that. And so getting to connect with people and to like share information is like so insanely cool. I could like never ever like say thank you enough to everyone. Like one thing with me, I one of my bigger videos that I had was showing you how to properly wear a seatbelt if you're fat. And I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I was just in a car wreck and I almost died, but I didn't because I was wearing my seatbelt, right? And I was like, what? Like, stuff like that, like being able to like actually make a difference in people's life is like, that's like the coolest thing ever. And like, I love it. Like, I think it's like the most special thing that I've ever gotten to do. I think it's really cool. And I hope I continue to help other people.
I feel the same way. Being able to fill that like the education deficit that I was talking about, like I created a like complete resource list for fat phobia. And I like it's been used in a lot of places that I didn't think it would be. And like it's actually helped a lot of people. And I'm like, that's something I'm so proud of. But also like the thing that brings me back to TikTok is my community. Um, like like my community on this app had my back when I got disowned what almost 2 years ago now. Like they had my back and helped me like get through like one of the tumultuous times of my life. And then when the app sort of like, for lack of a better word, like I hit the wrong way and I like ended up getting doxxed, like, and had to like shut down my account, still having my mutuals and having my community like in a different way. Like my account is different now. It's like private and I post like for the people that like I choose that I choose to have see my content. Um but it's still like one of my favorite things. Having a platform in a different way and like having my community is one of the things that I just like really treasure. Um Before we move on to audience questions, if everyone can just take a second and shout out your socials and anything that you're working on right now, any projects. If anyone is interested in my Fat Liberation Resource Guide, you can find it at fatliberation.carrd.co. And I'll drop my socials in the chat, which are Eli for the World on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Trang, you want to go next? Oh, you're ready.
Yeah, there we go. Again, I'm Trang. All my socials are the same. Again, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. They're just my full name, which is Trang On Dong, TranGANHDONG. I don't have anything that is worth shouting out right now, but if you want to support me elsewhere, I'm always making dumb videos.
Ren, you want to go next?
Sure, sorry. I was trying to put it in my phone. Yeah, so like I said, my I'm Rinstar on, I'll put that in the chat, but on TikTok, that's what I am. And then on Instagram and on Twitter, I am the real Renstar, because for whatever reason, Renstar was taken on those platforms. And I have a YouTube channel with my partner called Wordy and Nerdy, and a podcast with my best friend called Hot Tea Hot Takes, where we talk about music. The YouTube channel is more about like video games and nerdy shit, movies, superhero movies and stuff like that. And media, I am planning on some more like in-depth media analysis for that YouTube channel coming up. I'm also on Fanbase under Renstar, and I have some stuff planned for that as well. Right now I'm working on a series of read alouds where I'm reading these like really cheesy self-published books I found on Amazon. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to find me on Fanbase. I'm going to start posting more on there, and as well as Instagram. I started posting more on there, and Twitter, and all of that stuff. And I'll put all that in chat.
Sorry, y'all. I was trying to write it backwards. I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to show y'all. My Instagram is Lindsay with 3 Y's and an H. And then my TikTok is I'm an adult with periods between each word. I also have a series on YouTube. It's called Fat History. It's where we talk about cool fat people throughout history in like a cool and respective way, the way that they should have been talked about all along. Yeah, I'm working on a little podcast of a similar theme. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So our first audience question, we mentioned that sometimes our content goes into the wrong side of TikTok. On your content that isn't about fat advocacy, which I think all of us have content that is like not directly educational on that topic. I think this is a pretty universal experience that sometimes our bodies become topics of conversations when they are not supposed to be, and like what that is like.
Wait, I'm sorry, what was the question? One more time.
Like, what is it like when your body becomes a topic of conversation when that is not the topic you're speaking about?
I feel like it's always gonna be weird. I feel like I've always been like a bigger person. Like even as a kid, I was a big kid. So like I feel like the whole like people feeling way too comfortable making the weirdest comments. I feel like it's never gonna not be weird.
Especially because they make those weird ass comments and they think that they're complimenting you. Like whenever you show off an outfit and the first comment is like, "Oh my god, bestie, you're so confident. I love it. Yeah, big girl slay." I'm just like, would you be commenting this weird shit if I was skinny? Like, I mean, just like what?
No, yeah, play all of that.
I wish I had your confidence is the most backhanded comment like on planet Earth. Because what you're saying is if I looked like you, I would not show my body on TikTok. That's what you're saying. And also like yeah, I don't think fat people are allowed to eat on TikTok without like anything. Like we're not allowed to like have food anywhere near us without that becoming an issue. I think my internet just went a little wonky, but yeah, like that's something that like I don't think I ever did. Like I don't think I ever did because I didn't want like my content was like it was already an issue, and like I was like I'm just never gonna like talk about food at all because what's the point? Like it's gonna.
I started doing like the opposite, like just in defiance of it. Like a lot of times I would start replying to hate comments if someone would make a comment about my weight that was totally irrelevant. I would just reply with like taking a giant bite out of a burger, like, and whatever. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me personally, I am very like secure in a lot of parts of my identity, but my body is not one of them. So I think that like I do sometimes like tend to just kind of like hide myself or like I don't like eat a lot on video because I feel weird about it. I don't know what like kind of comments I'm gonna get, and like there are a lot of days where it'll be fine, but then there are also some days that like if someone said something mean to me today, I might yeet out for the rest of my life. We don't know. And they obviously don't know either. So they're just like popping out comments as if it like they have all the time in the world and they don't care.
mm.
checking our handy dandy audience Q&A. What strategies do you like use as a creator, like besides like changing the content you post to like what things you have to do because TikTok's moderation is not where it should be? Like we talked about it a little bit, but like what things do you have to do that TikTok should be doing to help you?
I have started very liberally using comment filters. Honestly, I wish there was less of a limit on like what you could filter, because I think I've reached on my max like 200 phrases or something, whatever it is. I've just started putting words in my filters like immediately and just going through and analyzing it. I have on occasion done what you were saying earlier, Eli, about like making everything where I had to approve it. That was just sort of a pain in the ass to do long term. But especially when videos go super viral and they get like 1,000 comments, I don't have time to read 1,000 comments and like personally moderate them. But yeah, I use a lot of comment filters. And then I've also just like, sometimes someone says something and it's just like an immediate delete and block. I'm not even going to acknowledge it or give you the response. It's just like, all right, out. Like, you know, sometimes I'll just see I'll look at my notifications, I'll see a comment pop up and I'm like, yeah, absolutely not. I've never engaged with this person before. I'm never going to again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely just like I also reached that point in like my social media life that I was just like very, very liberal with who I was blocking and who I was like deleting comments. Like it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like you don't know these people and they don't know you and they don't deserve that platform to like make comments on your like videos if you don't want them there. And I think that a lot of people forget that like you don't own the internet, you don't own this space. Like this is my space that I've curated for myself. I'm posting what I want to post and you don't have like the upper hand here. Like this is mine.
It's like the freedom of setting those boundaries. Like I had to have that moment too, because at first, I think when you first start creating content, you start feeling bad. Like, oh, well, if I block them, like, don't they have the right to say something? Or like, it doesn't seem like I just can't take criticism or whatever. And then like, fuck it. Like, I don't, like, there are so many places in life where I can't control the conversation, but this is going to be the one place that I do.
Yeah, definitely. I literally, y'all, I'm not even playing. I will hit someone with a block so fast, it's not even funny. No, I'm not going to waste my time. This is not up for debate. I made a video about it because it's what I said. I'm not debating you about it. I said what I said. If you don't like it, bye.
I think like people when we like use our like the block feature, like people are like accuse us of being in an echo chamber. And for me, I'm like, do people not understand that like we're allowed to create one echo chamber if the rest of the world is actively hostile? Like people act like fat people have never heard the things that they're about to say. Like we hear them all the time. Like you're acting like if I block you, I'm never going to hear it. I'm going to hear it on the street tomorrow. I don't know what you're on about, but like a fat person creating a space that is not actively hostile to them, sure, it's an echo chamber. I don't care.
Until they're saying stuff that I didn't literally hear in third grade, I literally don't care. Like, no, until they can come at me with something new, no.
Exactly. It's all such tired. Like the things they come up with aren't even clever. They'll just be like, you know, oh, it doesn't look like you go to the gym. I'm like, you know, okay. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, you think I'm crying myself to sleep? This is the first time that I've been on the internet for over 10 years now. You think this is the first time someone has called me fat? Like, spice it up.
No, literally. And it just like people reuse all these comments. It's like, no, I don't need to hear that again. I've heard it a million times. I've heard it from every single like being in my life for like the past 23 years. Like you're not new. And it's also just like interesting because they like will comment shit like that and then you respond to it and they're like suddenly you're the villain. They expect you to like respond with kindness and like positivity, but the minute you're mean or you say something that they don't like, suddenly you're the one like being the bully. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I'm gonna match your energy regardless of like what you're saying.
It's so funny because they will literally come at you with literal garbage and be like, why are you not treating this like it's a thoughtful and insightful take? It took me a lot of power of my brain to come up with this. Like, what?
The gaslighting is
absolutely
immediate.
not.
I've started like my whole tolerance, like I said earlier, for like skinny girls and boys, but skinny people in general, being willfully obtuse in my comment section. Like, nope.
So we I think it's sometimes hard to talk about TikTok, and we're like letting it all air out like here. But we want to end on one thing that is like a great experience you've had that wouldn't have happened if you weren't on TikTok. And for me, that would be like building my Discord server. And we did like we did like we've done like a lot of like Jackbox like game nights on Discord, and that's been my favorite thing. And that would not, like, these people are people, some people I've met on TikTok are like my like closest friends now, and that would not have happened without TikTok, and I'm really grateful.
I'll go. I think, yeah, the same. I've met so many like amazing people through TikTok, and I've had like such like a blast, like being able to talk to people with all these different like interests. And like I again, like my favorite things change every single month, every single day even, and being able to like talk to people about it and like form like actual like real friendships outside of the clock app is like crazy. Like I had lunch with like a friend that I'd met through TikTok like during the pandemic the other day, and it's just like wild how those relationships can like translate into real life, and like over like the weirdest things. Like we met through like doing like random little videos, and now we're hanging out in person, and we're like planning like collaborations together and stuff like that. And just being able to like have those, like have that camaraderie, but also like with my followers, and like doing the content that I like doing, and being able to like create like some semblance of representation, even if it's for my own edification, has been like really like beneficial to my confidence in a way.
Yeah, I would concur. I think the community is the biggest thing, and I would agree that like it's built my personal confidence a lot. I am way more confident in who I am, and even like how I present myself than I was even 2 years ago when I started TikTok. Like I mean, I dress like this now. Like I didn't, used to do that. Like where the idea of like being cute or embracing my aesthetic as a fat person and as a Black person. I feel much more confident in doing that now. And I would say that it's also just like the opportunities for like networking and like the people that I've like it's never not surreal when I get like a DM from like an actual celebrity. Like Cynthia Erivo once DM'd me and told me that she thought my content was so good. I was like, like it's so surreal when that happens, especially when it was first happening like in 2020, or when I give an interview like a couple weeks ago. I did an interview for The Hill, which is like just a whole ass news site that has like a TV program. I was on a TV program. Like the opportunities that I got just from being someone who was like talking into my phone, it's wild how that became like something that became a huge part of my life. I mean, I left my regular job a couple months ago, and like I felt like I was in a safe enough place to do so because of TikTok and because of the networking connections I had from TikTok that never would have been able to be a thing if I wasn't on there. So like I consider myself incredibly blessed and like lucky to have had that experience, because I realized there's plenty of people just as smart as me who have had just as many interesting things to say that have not built the platform that I have.
Remind me, what were the exact question again, one more time?
One thing that has happened that you treasure, that you cherish, that would not have happened if you weren't on TikTok.
Being understood in general, like feeling understood. I've never in my life felt understood the way that I have directly because of TikTok. I've been able to connect with people and actually seeing like a difference made in people's lives and giving people permission to love themselves and showing them that like, hey, you can literally look like me and love the absolute shit out of yourself. Like you can like yourself as you are. And like, I feel like being able to like show people that and seeing that it actually helps them, that's like the coolest thing ever. I could never like be over how much that is like, I love it. Like I'm so thankful for it. Also being able to like do content creation full time rather than like actually like leaving my job to go do this. Literally I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Yeah, it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me.